Welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie. Thanks for joining me. I'll be your astrologer this week. I'm back at it with another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at Mercury's ingress into the sign of Capricorn. If you guys like my content, you want to see more of it, make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the bell button so you're alerted as to when we have new videos coming out on the channel. I'm here every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday using tarot and astrology to make sense of what's going on in the cosmos. Leave me a comment below and let me know, do you have Mercury in Capricorn? Are you experiencing your Mercury return? And where is Mercury transiting in your chart? Which house? And how do you plan on using this aspect? I'm really looking forward to seeing what kind of happens with this. It's going to be nice to see Mercury in a sign that means business. And if you happen to be ruled by Mercury, like my Geminis and my Virgo risings, this will be impacting you the most, along with Capricorn placements, Sun, Moon, rising placements. You guys are going to be a little bit more outspoken over the next month. Make sure you guys give me a thumbs up if you like this video and consider sharing this with other astrology enthusiasts. All right, so we've got Mercury entering a new sign. We are putting this past 2 months kind of behind us with all the crazy stuff that's been happening with the squares and the Mercury retrograde in Sag. Now Mercury, the planet of communication, is moving into the cardinal earth sign Capricorn. Now this will be taking place from January 8th through the 27th, 2025. Now what does Mercury deal with? Well, communications, contracts, negotiations, travel, business, all of these things, and it's moving through a sign where it can get things done. Capricorn is traditionally ruled by Saturn, so it's going to govern over things like business, our careers, our relationships with people out in the world, and commitments. Now, this is a transit that generally promotes more practical thinking as it's moving through an earth sign. And here, communication becomes more grounded and definitely pragmatic. I think that thoughts and conversations tend to focus more on long-term goals, responsibility, and anything that's going to yield tangible results rather than abstract ideas. It's also going to be about seriousness and structure because of its connection to Saturn. So there's going to be much more of an emphasis on order and discipline and structure and communication. People might find themselves discussing, discussing or planning career-related matters, business strategies, or any, organizational aspects of life. So this is actually a really great time to be kind of planning out your year ahead, scheduling meetings, any business discussions, or anything revolving around contracts. I think are going to do very well under this transit. Now remember that Capricorn is a sign that deals with responsibility and authority. So conversations will revolve around duties, authority, and your reputation. This transit can highlight issues relating to one's standing in professional or social circles. But really, we want to focus over this next month on results. Mercury in Capricorn is less about exploring ideas for their own sake and more about how those ideas can be implemented to achieve concrete outcomes. Now you can do this by, planning. You can do this also by kind of committing to structured, timelines and things like that. That's really going to benefit you with this transit. And what we're going to be watching for and how this is going to be impacting us is anything revolving around career development. So there might be more discussions leading to job promotions, new responsibility, or changes in direction with our career. And there can also be an increase in meetings, negotiations, or potential opportunities to agree to contracts. Do focus on decision making. I feel like decisions that are made during this period tend to be well thought out and very strategic, and they definitely focus on long-term benefits. And we're also going to focus on formal communication. So there's like a tendency to be more formal or official or serious communication. This can involve legal documents, government affairs, or educational pursuits. Now, I feel like this transit is significant because we're going to see some really nice aspects that are going to be kind of taking place between Saturn and Mercury. And this is going to bring us the opportunity to have more mental discipline. So it brings a period over the next few weeks where mental clarity and discipline can lead to substantial achievements, especially in areas requiring planning or perseverance. It does align with Capricorn season, so this is the beginning of 2025. And obviously it's around the new year, so it supports resolutions, setting goals, and establishing our plans for the future. but it's also going to be about contextual communication. It's going to help us in understanding the practical implications of ideas, making it a great time for setting up frameworks or foundations for any future project. Now, to best work with this transit, all you got to do is set clear goals. You can, really focus, over the next month on using this time to outline clear, achievable objectives, both personally and professionally, and definitely, approach some of these with a more methodical kind of like mindset. So plan your communications, look at your schedules, connect with people, especially in a professional setting. And likely you'll find that the communication will be clear, concise, and very result-oriented. We do want to practice patience because this is a sign that's ruled by Saturn. So because there is this connection to taking your time to see long-term results, this transit favors patience over haste. So take time to reflect before making decisions or speaking, and definitely get organized. This is an amazing period for organizing your thoughts, your work schedules, any long-term, plans, trips, anything like that can be really beneficial with Mercury in this sign. Now, something that we're going to see throughout this transit is that the nodes of the moon are going to change signs. So around the 11th, we're going to see the north node of the moon go into Pisces and the south node of the moon go into Virgo. So this is going to be interesting because Mercury is the ruler of the south node. So whatever aspects Mercury is making in the sign of Capricorn is going to be reflecting on what's going on with the south node in Virgo. This is essentially tied to karmic lessons, okay? So the south node is about our past life skills or where we've been in this past life, and also our comfort zone. The south node is what we have a tendency to fall into, whereas the north node is more about growth and where we're going for what's needed. So with the south node in Virgo, there is a tendency towards perfectionism, service, health-related issues from past patterns. So while Mercury is in the sign of Capricorn, another earth sign, and it's kind of reverberating off of the south node, I think really what this is going to be about is, Mercury and Capricorn really challenging, the Virgo tendency to kind of emphasize the need for practical application over detail. It might push individuals to apply Virgo's kind of like analytical skills in a more structured kind of Capricorn way. In order to find balance with this, I think the key is about finding the balance between, Virgo's tendency to be very detail-oriented in their nature and Capricorn's focus on the big picture. And it gives us a chance to really use, Virgo's precision in service with Capricorn's ambition. Now, it's also going to be bringing up themes revolving around health and work. There might be a focus on health, south node in Virgo, and we're also going to see this as a foundation for career success, right, with Mercury and Capricorn. So it can involve like improving work environments or personal health regimes to support our career goals. So this could be about like organizing our workspace, sprucing up our office. It can also be about kind of tightening up our schedules and really focusing on some of our long-term goals when it comes to having a better work-life balance. Now, to apply this, I think we just want to really utilize the south node in Virgo and the attention to detail to enhance Capricorn's strategic planning. So this could really lead to career advancements by perfecting the process or improving your efficiency. For me, I think about how, Virgo has this tendency to want to organize, clean, label everything, get everything in order. And that's only going to help us be more efficient at work. So I really recommend over this next month, get your workspace in order, go over your schedule, make time for the things that you need to get done. Make sure that you're also including, having necessary breaks and taking time to like really integrate throughout the day and not be overworking, because that can be some of the other side effects that we can see with planets in Capricorn and the south node in Virgo. I also feel like this is going to be about a major turning point for our personal development. So we want to reflect on patterns of, service or criticism with the south node in Virgo and how they can be channeled into more productive or responsible actions with Capricorn. Remember, the north node is in Pisces. So this is more sensitive, in tune, compassionate, willing to kind of give something up or let something go. And we will see throughout this transit, we're also going to see Mercury make kind of some sextile aspects to Venus, and Venus will conjunct Saturn. So it's all going to be kind of reverberating off of this Mercury transit. Now, Saturn is the dispositor, so that's something else that we want to think about, is that while planets are going through the sign of Capricorn, we're looking at what's happening with Saturn, and Saturn is direct, it's in Pisces. We are going to see throughout the transit, Mercury will come into a sextile with Venus, which is going to be excellent for negotiating with people. It's going to be great for making serious commitments in matters of the heart or relationships. Even finances can be really beneficial, and working with other people. And we will also see Mercury come into a sextile with Saturn. So it's going to be excellent for connections and I think commitments and timelines and schedules. But Saturn is in a sign that is about wrapping things up, closing things out, right? And Pisces is the final sign. So there is some kind of conclusion or something that is kind of fading or dissolving in a way. So I do think that this will kind of minimize the harshness sometimes that can come through Mercury in Capricorn. It can be kind of militant in its kind of communication style. And I think that it's going to kind of soften things in a way where we recognize and realize that part of being a leader or part of being responsible or part of, making commitments to long-term goals is that we also have to be kind to others. We have to be kind to ourselves. We have to also know when to call a wrap on something, and that something may potentially be out of our hands or out of our control. And we'll be setting something free in a loving way, or we'll be maybe agreeing to disagree or trying to kind of mediate. Venus wants to find that middle ground and it wants to negotiate. So it can be an excellent time to kind of find the middle ground in our relationships and our business partnerships, and recognize where we need to kind of be paying attention to the emotional side of our commitments as well. Now, for the dates that you guys are going to want to watch, with all of my videos, when I do a planet transiting through a sign, I show you guys the dates that I think are going to be the most prominent. And this is a very interesting kickoff to my list of things, because right out the gate on the 8th, when Mercury comes into Capricorn, it's immediately going to square the North and South node. So it's saying like, hey guys, we have to integrate more communication, more structure, more planning, more commitments, and also rise to the occasion, right? Capricorn is a sign that's known for, doesn't matter how long it takes, it's going to see its kind of goals or its plans all the way through. So in the background, not only do we have this square to the North and the South node, which means we have to have conversations. We're going to have a discussion. We're going to have an email, a document, a text message, a meeting, something that's going to come up that's going to really put us in a position of having to decide which way are we going to go. We've got the South node that is in Libra, which represents kind of karmic untangling or undoing in relationships, not being lazy, not being passive, not being a people pleaser, not being too attached to relationships for superficial reasons. And then we have the North node in Aries, which is a degree, all of these are at cardinal, 0 cardinal points, which are significant. But the North node in Aries is about our path forward as individuals. It can be slightly combative at this degree. It can also indicate that humankind is going in a new direction. We're going to see individuals going in a new direction. So Capricorn squaring is basically saying before we get to that 0 degree Aries point, we need to have important discussions. And I think it's going to be about responsibility. Now, Capricorn's also a sign that deals with government, authority figures, bosses, and leadership in some capacity, big business, big media, things like that. So there may be big announcements out in the world that are being made around the time of this Mercury square, the North and the South node. At some point throughout the transit, we're also going to see Mercury come into a quincunx or an inconjunct with Jupiter, okay? So that's also going to be talking about laws. It's going to be talking about travel. It's going to be talking also about documents, Jupiter is retrograde. So we're reviewing all of these topics, and we might see that we are actually finally having conversations that we've been holding off in having. Mercury is the dispositor of Jupiter because Jupiter is in Gemini. So it's almost like there's this sense throughout this transit, right out the gate, that's like, are we going to have a conversation that we've been holding back in having? Are we going to step up to the plate and maybe take responsibility for something or discuss some kind of long-term goal? So I want to read to you guys the Sabian symbol for 0 degrees well, actually it's going to be 1. We're going to read 1 degree because we're going to round up, but 1 degree of Capricorn. And I laughed when I read this because I was like, of course this would be the Sabian symbol for this. So on January 8th, when Mercury hits that degree and it squares the nodes, we want to just kind of integrate and think a little bit about what the Sabian symbol is saying. Capricorn 1, an Indian chief demanding recognition. Okay, so the keyword is inflexibility. The theme is confrontation. The symbol speaks to the fact that most individuals tend to honor and respect established values, traditions, ranks, and stations of their families and communities. The image of an Indian chief demanding recognition depicts bold self-assertion, a claim to special privilege, and an insistence that some position of authority be acknowledged. On a practical level, this symbol reflected in confrontations between parents and their children, managers and their employees, and other situations where authority is challenged. At its highest, the symbol represents dignity, strength, character, and effective leadership. Watch for authoritarianism and strong arm tactics and fussing over trivial details. Today, the accent is on self-assertion. You may feel the need to speak up or insist that your voice be heard on some important issue. Your opportunity. Your greatest advantage lies in exercising your authority with dignity and letting the chips fall where they may. Be consistent and fair. Guard against being a grandstander and monopolizing on conversations on topics that others have no interest in. Be willing to share the stage. Stepping stones are insistence, extraction, determination, resoluteness, inflexibility, standing on principle, authority, self-assertion, boldness, confrontation, authoritarianism, and command. So right off the bat, there's most likely going to be some kind of challenge, right? So a challenging conversation, somebody who challenges you, an issue with an authority figure, but also an opportunity for you to speak up. So with Jupiter retrograde connecting to Mercury, it's kind of like, okay, if you've been holding back or if you have felt like it hasn't been the right time to say something, you have the opportunity to do that most likely on the 8th. I find it interesting that Saturn is connected to Mercury throughout this transit. You know, not only will they aspect each other, but just, you know, on the 8th, right when this ingress happens, it's going to be activating Saturn, which is at a Gemini degree. It's at 15 degrees. So it's about moving forward and having discussions and talking about things that maybe we have been afraid to discuss or things that we've been thinking about, but they haven't really materialized in the form of a conversation. I'm filming this a couple days before this comes out. Something I was like thinking about is just the string of resignations that we're seeing. We just saw the Prime Minister in Canada resign. I think there was something else that happened in Europe. We just saw Kamala, who had to certify the election. And so much of like the connection, I think, with like Saturn in Pisces is about kind of moving on, moving away, letting something go. You know, sometimes Pisces energy could be seen as evasive, but I see in this sense, it could be about, you know, walking away from something or, you know, kind of waving the white flag and retreating or, yeah, maybe just in a way kind of letting something go or kind of giving up. So some of us may feel like with this transit, that's like, do we have the hard conversations? Do we, you know, request the, you know, hard timelines? Do we, you know, push forward through something and try to force something? Or are we going to be using kindness and compassion? Are we going to be willingly taking a step back or taking a step down? And I think that's going to be something that we're going to kind of go back and forth with throughout the entire Mercury and Capricorn transit. Now, after we see this square, which by the way is on world axis points, so 0, 0, 0, Cancer would be the other one that we're looking for. This tells me that there is likely going to be some kind of big announcement. We might hear another resignation of a leader. We might hear something revolving around, you know, somebody saying they're considering stepping down, or there's some kind of murmurs of somebody stepping down in the future because it's in Pisces. So this kind of talks about what's going on behind the scenes. As Venus is approaching Saturn, I'm wondering if it's going to be about a female leader, okay? So it could be about some kind of female leadership, or it could be about like an older person who's in a position of authority or in some kind of government position that may potentially be stepping down. That could possibly happen as well. So we won't see anything else for a couple days. It'll take until we get to the 11th, and that's not even really a Mercury aspect, but On the 11th is when the nodes are going to change signs. Okay, so you'll see the North node go into Pisces and the South node will go into Virgo. And once that happens for the next 18 months, we're going to be looking at how Mercury is connected to the South node. So now it's going to be pulling on some of these more mercurial themes in Virgo, where we are seeing this undoing of jobs, habits, health, routine. Also, this can be about being very critical. Unfortunately, the South node in Virgo does have this connection to being very critical, very particular, kind of nitpicky. And while this is happening, Mercury is starting to come into a sextile with Venus and Saturn. So I could see this as a situation where we do see some kind of a leader stepping down. People are very critical of that person, or there's a lot of negativity revolving around that. And we're being called and we're being asked to apply more empathy. Venus conjunct Saturn could be about, having empathy for an older person, their inability to be able to lead, the fact that maybe they do feel like, they can't serve, or that there could be something going on revolving around Pisces themes. Homelessness, immigration, themes revolving around borders. I really feel like Mercury sextile Venus and Saturn is about peaceful transitions, and it can also be about communicating that we need to have a peaceful transition of power and working together and building bridges instead of walls, because Mercury wants to talk to Venus and Saturn. So we're going to see a lot of maybe olive leaves or olive branches that are being kind of offered to, multiple countries, where we're trying to focus on working on our relationships and having stronger relationships for business, for trade, for things revolving around borders and immigration as well. That might be another theme that we're going to see. So when that happens and the nodes change signs, Mercury is in Capricorn at a 5, and then we're looking at Jupiter as the ruler of the South node, and it's in Gemini, and you'll see they're going to start coming into an inconjunct or a quincunx with each other. I didn't even look at 5, or I guess technically this would be 6, but what does that mean that day? Let's see. So we're going to look at Capricorn 6. There we go. Capricorn 6, a dark archway and 10 logs at the bottom. The keyword is thoroughness. The theme is piercing the veil. The symbol speaks to the personal integrity and resourcefulness, and the fact that each individual has everything within him that they need to succeed in life. The image of the dark archway and 10 logs at the bottom alludes to the unknown, the future, and a period of time between the completion of one cycle and the experience at the beginning of the next, when choices and decisions must be made as to what direction to take. The emphasis on this symbol is personal growth and exploration of the individual potential. At its highest, the symbol represents a deep understanding of the meaning and purpose of life and a natural talent for capitalizing on the hidden opportunities in every situation. Watch for bondage to superstition and refusal to take risks or experiment with anything not fully understood. The accent is on completion. A new path of experience is now open. You have everything you need to succeed. Your greatest advantage lies in having the courage to begin. All you have to do is take the first step. Guard against allowing yourself to be overcome by fear of the unknown. Don't turn back. You may lose your opportunity. Readiness, resourcefulness, preparation for the future, stability, sensibility, carefulness, precision, completion, transition, new experience, and the unknown. So it's interesting because at least here in the United States, we're coming up on a new administration. And so I do think that part of this could be about the conversations revolving around where we are going with this new leadership. Right off the bat, you're going to see the moon, which is in Gemini, come into a square with its own nodes, which is still reverberating off of Mercury, which is like, okay, we're going to be talking about what's happening with new leadership, what the plan is, what direction we have moving forward. Thankfully, Mercury is starting to come into the sextile with Venus. So I do feel like it's going to be about working together, putting aside our differences, trying to find ways to be able to build bridges, to work together. And doing it in a compassionate, peaceful manner, because that's generally what Venus wants, but especially Venus in Pisces, because she's very emotional, she's very sensitive. But there's gonna be a lot to talk about. I think there might be some big conversations or discussions, be that either on the 8th when Mercury squares the nodes, or on the 11th when this moon gets triggered with a square, and it's gonna trigger at 29 degrees, which is a critical degree. So after that, we don't see anything for about a week. We don't have any crazy Mercury things that are kind of happening. It does look like this is going to take us to the 15th, I guess this is worthy of mentioning, where Mercury quincunxes Jupiter. Okay, so it's kind of like, you know, if you think about like a conversation between a Capricorn and a Gemini, they sit down and Capricorn's going to be very focused on, okay, this is when we're doing this and this is how we get it done. And they're really great at delegating tasks. That's one thing I do like about Mercury and Capricorn is they know how to be assertive and they know how to lead. And Mercury, when it makes this quincunx or this inconjunct to Jupiter, which is kind of debilitated in its opposite sign of Sag, may not see eye to eye. You know, Jupiter in Gemini has a vast, you know, number of ideas, and it can kind of look at both sides of a situation, and it can also kind of change its mind. And it's definitely not the most focused when it's in this sign and when it's retrograde. But when Jupiter quincunxes Mercury, there's going to be some discussion and talking about the rule of law is kind of the feeling that I'm getting that's going to happen. What is and is not legal, what is and is not the right thing to do. You might hear a lot of people preaching and talking about, you know, making the right decision or taking the high road or, you know, being in the legal right away. And whenever we have an 11, you know, 11s always kind of feel like when something is speeding up or when something is kind of unexpected that's happening. So there could be conversations that are kind of taking place in your own life that are kind of making you question what you believed in or what you thought was true or what you have learned in the past. So then this is going to take us to the 18th, and this is where things start getting good. And on the 18th, we're going to see Mercury start coming into a sextile with Venus. It'll actually be sextiling closer to around 15 degrees, which is a Gemini degree. So really I like the 18th and the 19th. Okay, so make a note of that if you take notes during my videos. The 18th and the 19th of January are really great communication days in my mind. We will see during this sextile, okay, that the south node will hit the moon. So we're saying, okay, we're letting go of like the need to be perfect, to be super critical, to get all the details together, to be super hyper focused on something. And we're leaning more into compassion, sensitivity, intuition, creativity, romance, relationships, and learning how to encourage people rather than discourage them through criticism. I mean, constructive criticism is wonderful. Mercury and Capricorn, I think of all of the placements of Mercury, can really appreciate it, but there can be this sense with the South Node going through there that's like, okay, are we being too hypercritical of other people? And the need to release and let that go and say, okay, we're gonna forgive. We're not necessarily gonna forget, but we're gonna forgive and we're gonna recognize that not everybody is perfect. And maybe the need to connect on a more emotional level and be sensitive and in tune with other people's needs helps us lead better. And it helps us also encourage people rather than feeling like we're kind of, you know, tearing them down and giving them a hard time. Now with Mercury sextile Venus, you know, communication is sweeter. It's definitely kinder. It can be more romantic. There can be more tapping into our visions and our dreams and how that's kind of leading the way for some of our big plans in our career or in our life. And then we will see Mercury come into a sextile with Saturn, which is significant because it's the dispositor of Saturn. So that's really friendly. And you'll see that on the 19th. So on the 19th, then it's going to be coming into a sextile with Venus. So 18th, 19th, I think are going to be great days. It looks like it'll actually technically sextile at 16, which is a Cancer degree. So it can be a matter of like having more important conversations with our family members, our relatives about things that are going on in the home zone, about how we're organizing and running the home, you know, how we're working from home, you know, scheduling our schedules in regards to our families and the people that we live with and spend time with. And we may also be addressing the past, okay? So we're addressing what has happened in the past. And really, I think with Mercury sextile the Saturn and Venus, we want to say, you know what? We are willing to let the past go. We're not going to forget, but we're willing to let the past go. We're going to set it free with love, or past ways of communicating that have maybe been too rigid, or past ways of doing business that has maybe been not the most conducive maybe to having good relationships or good emotional habits. We're starting to kind of set that free. So the 18th and the 19th, good days for communication. Now, once we get beyond that, we start seeing a little bit of ruckus. All right, so you guys are going to see the ruckus. This is going to be starting around the 21st of January. Okay, so If you want to sign contracts, plan business, you want to launch websites, you want to do things like that, do it around the 18th or the 19th. Because once we get into the 21st, then Mercury is going to come into a square with Chiron, and this is going to be at 19 degrees, where relationships with others, 19 is Libra, are going to be challenging, okay? So Mercury is squaring Chiron, you know, from the left-hand side, which means that these planets in Capricorn have a sense of, you know, superior energy. They're questioning, or they're bringing up Chiron and Aries themes and saying, don't blame other people, take accountability, heal your wounds, you know, be responsible. But it can also represent, with Capricorn energy squaring Chiron, where our work schedules, the pressure, our responsibility, our parents, our bosses, you know, or our responsibility for other people or other things is feeling kind of like mentally stressful. It's creating some stress in regards to the relationship with ourselves, in regards to how we communicate, connect with other people. This would quite literally be the day where, you know, you have some kind of tip with a parent, or you have, you know, you get pulled over and the police officer is, you know, being very critical of you and is being very militant and kind of short, where you can get into it with your boss because your boss is saying, you know, why are you late? What's going on? What's the problem? And they're not going to understand or really care a lot about your own issues, your own wounding, or what's wrong with you. There could be a sense of just being very curt in communication this day, particularly in relationships, okay? So we've already got Venus that is kind of dancing with Saturn. Venus is also, you know, going to make that aspect several times throughout the Venus retrograde starting in March. But Venus-Saturn is not just about, okay, we set the wedding date, we commit, you know, we get married, we move in together, we invest in the project, we launch the business. Unfortunately, the other side of Venus-Saturn is finding that there are major boundaries that are coming up in relationships. And Pisces is sacrificial. So there can be the sense of reviewing our relationships with others where we haven't had adequate boundaries, where that's created some relational issues. There were things we didn't know. There's karmic factors at play. The North Node is now in Pisces. And other things that kind of feel like, wow, okay, am I getting the short end of the stick? You know, am I not lovable? Am I not receiving enough support? Am I not good enough? And Mercury square Chiron will start to kind of bring up some of these wounds. So watch your relationship communication with other people in the workplace and just in general on the 21st. Now we are going to see just after that on the 23rd, we shake it off a little bit with a Mercury trine Uranus. Okay, so Mercury now is harmonizing with Uranus. Mercury in Capricorn wants to talk business, schedules, plans, you know, projections, dates, commitments. And Uranus in Taurus is going to be about the financial reactions. It's about the physical reactions. It's the changes that we don't see coming, Uranus and Taurus, the changes in values, the changes with money, with banking, with technology. And in the background, look at what's going on. Venus is connected to Uranus and Saturn is connected to Mercury, and they're still in conjunction. So clearly, there's going to be talking about the end of one phase when it comes to power and authority and control or governance with money, and what may be new and futuristic. I anticipate that there's going to be a lot of news about crypto on January 23rd, give or take a day. But when this trine happens, it's going to be talking about how there is going to be a clearing out of old systems, old ways, old jobs, and where there is going to be this new streamlined focus on efficiency, focusing on responsibility, timelines, and also the implementation of new currencies, new resources, new financial regulations. And like I said, Venus is kind of dancing with Saturn and Venus. So there's this theme of like, okay, this is ending. And then throughout the retrograde, we're going to really start to see the transition as we're getting into the spring and the summer. I like Mercury trine Uranus for a day where your intuition is just like bang on. I like it for a day where we have to get out of the box. This is a great transit for spitballing and having, you know, creative maybe meetings and, you know, trying to kind of get other people's input and hearing different perspectives and maybe using astrology more. Maybe it's going to be about using new systems when it comes to banking and accounting, learning about new currencies, talking about new budgets, plans. And it can be a really kind of amazing day where you can find that you can mentally kind of get out of your own way and think of new ways of doing things, particularly connected to business, connected to health, connected to productivity, connected to money. These will be definitely things that you guys want to think about. I think that a lot of people are going to be surprised to find out that, there is going to be lots of new financial apps and new ways and new rules and regulations and things kind of connecting to even taxes. That could be kind of coming up because when this happens that day, the moon's going to oppose Uranus. So is there some big announcement about some incentive to make some changes with taxes? Maybe. And also taxing in regards to cryptocurrency or some kind of, talk more about a potential future cryptocurrency reserve. I think that could definitely be coming up with some of the transits around the 23rd. The problem that I have is that even though Mercury is trining Uranus and it's sextiling Venus and Neptune, these are all great aspects, it's sextiling the moon in Scorpio. The problem is that the moon is ruled by Mars, and Mars is ruled by the moon. And so while there's this exciting new news about the future of technology and government and funding and budgeting and all this stuff, and there's amazing aspects, the moon opposed Uranus means that there's going to be some shocks and surprises. And this is also the day that Mars opposes Mercury. So if you want out of some of the Mercury-Mars opposition, which is honestly, combative arguments, conflicts, whatever, you want to be leaning into, okay, let's do an end with how we have done things. Let's do things differently. Let's set this free with love. Let's find new ways to connect and communicate. Let's look for solutions. Let's not worry about problems. And let's willingly kind of bring in this new phase of getting things done. If you don't do that, then you're going to get caught in the drama of Mars retrograding Cancer's moodiness, its passive aggressiveness, its conflict, its issues revolving around home and domestic matters. And you're going to find yourself in a situation where you're arguing with someone about something or you're responding to something in a negative fashion. Holy smokes, guys, 23, we'll see a 23 with the moon. You got a 23 here, we got a 23 here. That means everything speeds up exponentially. And if you look at where Mercury is going, when it gets into Aquarius, first thing it's going to do is conjunct Pluto, which is going to be, I think major disclosures. I think we're going to see a lot of information and things that have been, kind of kept very private and behind the scenes, and things that maybe people have said were conspiracies for a while, or things that are going to be showing some kind of crime and corruption, especially when it comes to on the job stuff, when it comes to people who have been in politics, when it comes to things revolving around South Node Virgo, health matters, things revolving around healthcare practices, health practitioners, all of these things are going to be kind of coming up. So watch out for the 23rd. This is a day where there's so much opportunity to say, you know what, I'm going to respond differently. We're going to do something differently. We're going to be proactive and we're going to embrace change. Or if you guys are caught unaware, you're going to find that it's going to be a day where you're going to be resisting change and there could be some combativeness kind of going on. Okay. Now we will see on the 26th, Mercury will sextile Neptune in the North Node. You'll kind of see that like the 25th, 26th, 27th. But this is the sextile here. It looks like it's going to be happening around 27 degrees, which is another Gemini degree. And Mercury, when it's aligning with Neptune, it's about, the vision, the dream, the inspiration. It's about romance. It's about creativity. This is also about emotional intelligence. Intelligence is Mercury. And so it's like leaning into like, well, yeah, maybe they do feel like this, and maybe I should call them, or maybe they do want to talk to me, and kind of like tapping into maybe being able to read between the lines, or just listening to your gut or your dreams a little bit more. I like that aspect. I like the fact also that Mercury is starting to sextile the North Node, where a little bit more responsibility, commitment, maturity, assertiveness, all of these things are really going to help us see our way through this confusing situation and this pile up of planets you're going to see the next 2 or 3 months in Pisces. Many people will argue with me, North Node in Pisces is so magical, Venus in Pisces is so magical. Yeah, but not when Venus is kind of sandwiched between Saturn and Neptune. This means that there is a looming issue with Venus, especially knowing that Venus will retrograde and make this aspect several times. What is the looming issue? Well, Venus is connected to Uranus, which is going to go direct at the end of the month. Financial issues, inflation, food prices going up, groceries being high, people being, in positions where they're realizing inflation is killing their dollar. We have less spending, ability. Therefore, we have more Pisces, Venus, Saturn things, homelessness, mental health stress, drug issues, major stress on government systems, all of that stuff. So this financial issue, I think that's going to really come up in March and April. It's already going to start to rear its head by the end of the month. So really, Mercury is saying, hey, we got a problem here. Now, it can also be saying we have a spiritual crisis here. There has not been transparency here. There has been crime and manipulation here. Obviously, Neptune can be nebulous and kind of hard to decipher and get clarity and get facts from. And wanting to unveil and kind of get to the bottom of what's been happening here. All of this is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter's retrograde, so it can mean that things or information that has been held back, maybe narratives and things that have been, put on media, things that have been on the news, things that have been on radio, things like that, that maybe sounded too good to be true, or maybe they were, tall tales. I mean, that's possible because you're seeing planets that are squaring Jupiter. But I would be mindful that with Mercury sextile Neptune, we still need to question details. We still need to ask for clarity. We still need to really listen and kind of check in with ourselves before we just kind of assume something and we take something at face value. Same thing with the North Node, because the North Node is going to magnify things. So it's definitely saying that there is still more information that's yet to be unveiled. And then finally, we will see Mercury come into Aquarius. That will be happening on the 27th of January. And in the same fashion that we saw Mercury enter into Capricorn, right? So it came into Capricorn, squared the North and the South Node, and it was like, boom, okay, we have to have a conversation. It might feel like a confrontation. We're having to speak up about something. People are voicing their opinions, and they feel like they need to in order to be more independent. The North Node will be in Aries. Now we've got Mercury coming into Aquarius, where the mind is now suddenly thinking about the collective. The moon will trigger it with a conjunction, and Pluto will be there. Watch for the big booms in terms of intelligence, information that's being released, stuff being revealed, I think revolving around major political scandals, things also connecting to major dramas revolving around workplaces, relationships with coworkers, where technology is going to be radically changing jobs, where we're going to see major information drops in regards to health and wellness in the healthcare field. All of this stuff is going to start happening, and the moon will be a trigger. So the fact that it's hitting Mercury and Pluto, and it will eventually trine Jupiter, means that there is going to be information coming out like wildfire at the end of January. That is just going to be like, what? Could this be more data breaches and things revolving around issues with the internet and problems with, communications? Sure, yeah, that could happen, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to Mercury and Aquarius. But just know that this transit almost kicks off with, like I said, needing to have a conversation, and it may feel like something that is like difficult, but in our own lives, it could mean that this is just a shift in our frame of mind, where we're like, you know what, enough is enough. I have to finally, commit to this. I have to finally look for a new job. I have to finally commit to a new health routine. It's my responsibility, Capricorn, to make sure that my health, my habits, my job, my work is on track. And I think a lot of us are actually going to really benefit from this. Not only at the end of the Mercury transit will it sextile Neptune in the North Node, where we come to terms with some things that we have to let go of, or that our mental health is a real big responsibility. Our vision for the future is a big responsibility. But also Mercury trine the South Node, where we can say, you know what, rather than being super critical and super fussy, I'm just going to kind of get out there and I'm going to get something done. So make the most of these transits, especially the 18th and the 19th. I think those are going to be some of the better ones. Watch for some of the tricky stuff on the 23rd, and get ready for, obviously, the ingress into Aquarius next month when we see Mercury go into that sign in conjunct Pluto. Now, I want to show you guys where this is happening for each and every one of the 12 rising signs. I want to give you a little insight as to what might be happening in your life and give you some tips and some tricks in how to navigate this. As a reminder, I am a Western astrologer, so I practice Western astrology. I'm going to be showing you guys this from the perspective of a whole sign because Mercury is going to enter into 0 degrees and it's going to go all the way to 29. When this happens, just again, is going to be taking place January 8th, and Mercury will be in Capricorn until the 27th, 2025. Gemini, Virgo, and Cap risings, pay attention as your chart ruler for my Virgos and my Geminis are on the move. And for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising placements, it's a time where you're really going to feel like you have to communicate, you have to speak up, you're committing more. Obviously, you guys know Saturn is in your 3rd house. You might be signing things, you might be planning trips, you might be buying cars, signing leases, things like that. All right, so listen for your rising sign if you want to know where Mercury is moving through in your chart, which house it's in. Listen to your sun sign and how it applies to your career, and your moon sign and how it connects and correlates to your home, your emotions, or your family. So we're going to start first with my Aries and Aries rising. Probably a lot of what I've been saying to you guys makes sense. It kind of checks out. So you guys are going to be seeing Mercury transiting through your natal 10th house. And your 10th house deals with your career, it deals with your reputation, it deals with your public image. So the themes of Mercury transiting this house are going to be about career focus. It's going to be about public speeches, official roles, things that are going to enhance your reputation. I recommend, if you want to make strategic career moves, this could be the time to do it. You might be preparing for interviews or public speaking engagements with care. And I really recommend networking with influential people. Now, Mercury connects to the 3rd house of communications, travel, anything revolving around documents, and the 6th house of coworkers, scheduling, and wellness. So there is this sense of sending out a lot of emails, confirming things, planning things, maybe needing to write important things that you're going to be presenting. I think that will be happening for you all month long. Give you a tarot card in honor of Mercury, as he is connected to divination. We've got 2 of coins, all right? So for you guys, my Aries and Aries rising, weighing your options. And that's the other thing with Mercury. Mercury is about duality. It's like, do I want this or do I want that? So you guys might be going back and forth thinking about, do I want to change my schedule? Am I going to be making a change in my job? And is there a change in my status? Is there something shifting, revolving around? Maybe, who I'm working with, the groups that I'm working with, something like that can be going on. And you'll see, especially with the South Node in your 6th, some of you guys with the eclipses and things that are coming, there's going to be changes in the way that you're approaching your health and your habits, or there's going to be some change maybe going on at work or with your coworkers. Okay? Let me know, Aries. All right, I got Taurus and Taurus rising. Taurus, you're going to be experiencing Mercury transiting the sign of Capricorn in your natal 9th house and a fellow sister Earth sign. So usually it's pretty friendly for you, Taurus. Obviously, the 9th house has connections and associations with philosophy, higher education, publishing, traveling, teachers, and your beliefs in general. So the theme here is that Mercury in Capricorn is about practical application of higher knowledge, structured travel plans, or formal education. So I recommend, focusing on education that could lead to career advancement, planning travel with purpose, or maybe even travel for work, or perhaps business or long-term learning. Now, Mercury is connected to your money, your resources, your finances, your self-esteem, as well as creativity, self-expression, and children. So some Taurus and Taurus risings are going to be thinking about, how they're paying for their education or their travel, or what they're wanting to go to school for to improve their career, or how they can make more money through teaching, traveling, or education. Could also deal with, maybe going on holiday, maybe something revolving around money for children and education. If not, it could just be that you're more interested in a course or a class or a workshop or something where you can kind of blend traveling or a holiday in with learning something, okay? All right, so the card that I have for you, Taurus, is the 8 of Cups. This is a card that's about walking away from something, right? So are you going away from home? Are you leaving home for a little bit? Are you going to be going somewhere else? That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting. especially looking at Mars that's retrograde in your 4th. So are you relocating? Are you just going to be traveling? Are you looking into new places that you could be living? Are you thinking about walking away from some of your old, jobs? Pluto's in your 10th house. And are you open to experiencing maybe a new career path, and you're just starting to kind of think about, what could I do that I enjoy more, or how could I get away from everything right now and take a break, right? You guys have lots of transits about to happen in your 12th house, so that could very well be the case. Let me know, Taurus. All right, so we've got Gemini and Gemini rising. What's up, Gem? Your chart ruler's on the move. So Mercury is changing signs. You are Mercury, and Mercury is going into your natal 8th house. And this is a sign that inconjuncts and quincunx is used. So especially pay attention to when the quincunx is happening between Mercury and Jupiter. I think it's going to be about asking yourself, can I change? Can I evolve? Or how am I changing my mind? How am I changing my job? How am I changing my finances, my joint finances, something like that. All right, so for Gemini and Gemini rising, you've got Mercury going through the 8th house of transformation, shared resources, intimacy. All right, so the themes are about deep, serious talks about intimacy, psychology, therapists, studying, research. This all kind of comes from the 8th house. It can also be about shared finances or inheritance, dealing with taxes or refunds. That can kind of come up too. My recommendation is approach shared resources with caution and strategy. This is a period for restructuring debt or investments, and be transparent in intimate relationships. Looking to refinance something like a car or maybe a mortgage, you might do it through this transit. Looking to make changes in your home insurance, in life insurance. If you're looking to maybe get a quote, maybe you're wanting to start thinking about, maybe how you could change your job and how you could be finding a job that could have better benefits. This might be a transit that you're going to be doing all of these things. And Mercury is also connected to your home and your family. So lots of talk with family resources, how you're talking to a partner about resources as well, and how you guys can be better working together. The card that I got for you is the Four of Wands. So this is a card that is about celebration. So there can be almost like a completion that's coming, maybe in regards to like a long-standing back and forth financially, or in regards to a home or family matter. This can also be talking about like getting excited and celebrating the fact that you're finally receiving something. So sometimes when planets go through the 8th house, it's not just about paying debts sometimes, but it can be about receiving something. So what are you receiving? Are you receiving good news? Are you receiving news of a bonus or a change that's going on at work? Or maybe that there's finally going to be some kind of completion or ending to some long-standing home situation? I think so. All right, so we have Cancer and Cancer rising. For you guys, you're going to see Mercury entering into your 7th house of relationships. And this will be interesting for really early degree Cancers and Cancer risings, because you'll actually see the grand cardinal cross. Okay, so if you have like 0 to 2 degrees of Cancer rising, sun or moon, you're going to really feel that in a really big way. Something about other people is going to be very prominent. Communications, conversations, people you meet, stuff like that. Pay attention over this this transit right off the bat. Now, your 7th house obviously is partnerships. It can be marriage. It can also be legal matters, commitments to business partners. It can be your marketplace, things that you sell, services and stuff like that. So when Mercury goes into the 7th house, there are serious discussions with partnerships, and it can be both personal or business. This could be legal negotiations as well. My recommendation is be clear and honest with your partnerships. And this transit is likely going to favor contracts and agreements that have long-term benefits. I would be listening more than I'm speaking, okay? Because this is going to be about people who are going to be teaching you something, maybe about business, about legal matters, about education, about travel. Really important relationships can start here. So it can be like with a therapist or a new business partner or a client. Now, Mercury connects to your 3rd house of things that are written. So documents, communications, emails, text messages, leases, things that you're selling. So this can be a really strong time where you're, bringing in lots of connections or clients or contacts through like an online portal, like a website, or through like a social media account. And Mercury is also connected to the 12th house, which is kind of, you could see it as hidden enemies or unexpected events or unexpected conversations or communications. So you might be unexpectedly hearing from somebody that you didn't anticipate that you were going to be hearing from. Just listen. We don't need to make any moves right now. I think what's most interesting is that Venus is going to be dancing with Saturn. So for some Cancer and Cancer risings, there's going to be some unexpected communication or contact from somebody who's further away. Hey, somebody slides into your DMs, maybe they add you, maybe you've got somebody who wants to work with you or be a client of yours that might be from another country or a distant place. Watch for that, but get excited about the back and forth communication with others. Just be mindful that you're going to see some oppositions to Mars, both with the Sun as well as Mercury. So really, it's going to be about how you're pausing and reflecting and choosing to change the way that you're reacting to things, and you're actually learning to hear what other people have to say, as long as they aren't pushing your buttons. The card that I got for you is the Four of Swords, which is so funny, like very Mars retrograde in the first, like scaling back. Okay, what do they have to say? You could read the emails, you can listen to the phone calls and the text messages. You don't always have to respond. This could be about waiting and thinking something through and kind of feeling it out before you decide that you want to take a chance and connect with another person. Maybe you feel like, I'm taking a break from relationships right now, I'm not interested. That's fine. Don't worry about that so much. You're going to have plenty of opportunity for relationship stuff in the spring. But listen to the things that they say before you respond. And sometimes no response is a response at all. Good luck, Cancer. All right, we got Leo and Leo rising. What's up, Leo? You're going to be experiencing Mercury's transit in Capricorn in your natal 6th house. Mercury loves being in this house. This is a great place to have Mercury. Obviously the connections and associations traditionally with the 6th house in Virgo totally makes sense. This is all about health, work, service, pets, your daily routines, your habits, your office space. So while Mercury is going through Capricorn in your 6th house, yes, it kind of, quincunxes your placements in Leo, so you guys don't always see eye to eye, but I think this is going to be an amazing time for work ethic. I think health routines will improve. You'll be focusing more on efficiency and how you can kind of help other people. I would really recommend implementing a new health regime and regimen. A new health regimen. Or work method that stands the test of time. So detail-oriented work is definitely a theme with Mercury in the 6th. I do think it'll pay off, and I would be delegating tasks whenever you can. This can also be a time where, because Mercury is associated with the 2nd house of money and also the 11th house of goals, you're getting your work or your schedule kind of streamlined so you can make more money, be more productive. If you've been looking for a job, it's a great transit to get one. If you've been looking to invest more in health, wellness, fitness, or working with like a coach or a trainer, it could be a good time to do that. You may be also spending money for help. So you could be hiring an assistant. Maybe you're hiring a dog walker. Maybe you're hiring somebody to come in and do your accounting. These things can kind of happen with this particular transit. And I think that it can be really good, especially as Mercury is connecting with Uranus, when it comes to kind of like planning out your schedule for work, at least through the spring, maybe through about May or June. It can be really helpful for that. Okay. All right. So the card that I got for you is the King of Wands, which is great if you're a Leo, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Being bold, active, creative, making time for the things that you love to do. Maybe investing in things that are going to kind of pay off for you in the long run can be especially good if you're working on creative projects or anything if you're self-employed. It can give you the opportunity also to like really feel more optimistic and kind of lively about the work that you're doing. And there could be like this feeling of feeling more excited and more kind of connected to doing more meaningful work. Look for other help that can come from other fire signs, whether that's another Leo, Sag, or an Aries. All right, so we have Virgo and Virgo rising. What's up, Virgo? And Virgo rising. Your guys' chart ruler's on the move. Mercury's changing signs. It's going into Capricorn. It is in your 5th house, which deals with love affairs, children, creativity, self-employment, taking chances. So this is a fun place to have your chart ruler. Obviously, we like to have planets or a personal planet go through the 5th. And the theme here is going to be about, I think, taking a more serious approach, right, Capricorn, to romance, maybe having more discipline in your creative process. Maybe it's going to be about teaching or championing children. It can also be about dating, meeting someone. It can be about, new hobbies and things that are kind of going on for you. So Mercury rules you, and it also rules your work, your reputation, and your career. So you might be feeling like you have more responsibility when it comes to children, or you're feeling like it's your responsibility to work on a creative project or to launch something. Maybe you're, feeling more responsible in a relationship, or there's more conversations or talk about children or I love yous or commitments of some kind, especially because it's reverberating off of Saturn in the 7th. So where, romance, dating, play dates, things like that is really important for maintaining a connection and a commitment to a relationship, and be that a romantic partner, a creative collaborator, even your relationship with a child might come up during this particular transit. Now, I would use this time for, use creativity for tangible outcomes, like starting a hobby that leads to a business. And in romance right now, communicating commitment and stability is going to be very important, especially with some of the sextiles and the aspects to Saturn. So let me give you guys a card here. Ooh, hello, Empress. So for some of you guys, it might be about your role as a mother, right? That's the Empress. It's about becoming a mother. Maybe it's about talking to your partner about motherhood or fatherhood. It can also be about, having conversations about what you're trying to create together. So if you're not in a relationship, it could be finding someone who you feel like you can kind of create what you've always wanted, this dream relationship with another person, or what you're hoping to kind of achieve within the relationship, and themes revolving around relationships and parents. That'll definitely come up during this transit for you guys. Good luck, Virgo. Good transit for you. We've got Libra and Libra rising. Libra, you'll be experiencing Mercury's transit through the sign of Capricorn, all right? So it's going through your 4th house, Libra. The 4th house deals with your home, your family, roots, real estate, property, where you come from. So with Mercury going through the 4th house, there's going to be more communication with family, or, with what's going on in the home, or things revolving around restructuring your home life or dealing with parental figures in a more formal manner. I recommend, addressing family issues with patience but structure. Consider home improvements that will have lasting value, and discuss family legacy or traditions. Now, in the 4th house, Mercury, is kind of pulling on the energy of the 12th house, which is kind of hidden and subconscious, or it's things kind of connected to the bedroom or your subconscious or even your ancestors. And it's also connecting to your 9th house, which is about traveling, communication. It can be about learning, the higher mind, your belief system. So, with Mercury going into the 4th house, it's a wonderful time to go through closets and things that you have not organized. Your attic, your bedroom, under the bed, things like that, and getting things kind of organized and cleared out at home. You might be doing more work around the house. Maybe you're communicating with family more. Maybe you're communicating with family at a distance, and it can also have connections with your father or your in-laws. So be mindful of that transit. But the fact that Venus is going to be meeting with Saturn, and Saturn's a dispositor, I think is about having healthier habits emotionally, and healthy relationships with family, or, working on relationships with people at home, and really taking care of your mental and your emotional health. Maybe it's going to be about pets, and, care of pets in the home, or maybe there's just more, kind of home, family, business stuff that's going on at this time. All right, Libra, let's see what the cards say for you. I get the King of Swords. So watch, this can be you, because obviously you're Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising. So it can be about being more assertive and more direct. It's kind of hard to be diplomatic when Mercury is in Capricorn. It's just very black and white. It's like, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. And so you can feel like there is somebody in your home that is pushing your button. So there can be like somebody who you're trying to kind of communicate with and be direct with. And then it's like getting to a point where it's like you just have to have the hard conversation. It could be with an Aquarius or with a Gemini. It could be with somebody you live with. It could be somebody who's like just a little bit more stern and serious. But I would just say, like, hold your ground. It's not about conflict. It's more about being like, this is what's going on. And with Venus coming in conjunction with Saturn, it could be about, taking care of a pet or taking care of a family member, or just how you're kind of running the household, and being really firm and direct about what your thoughts are on the matter. It's not so much emotional. It's more about, the thoughts and getting the point across. Anyway, good luck, Libra. Let me know how that goes. We've got Scorpio and Scorpio rising. You guys will be experiencing Mercury transiting Capricorn in your natal 3rd house. Now, Mercury loves being in the 3rd house. It does really well here. It can multitask, it can communicate, it can kind of juggle. So I think this is going to be a good transit for my Scorpio and Scorpio risings, especially now that your chart ruler Pluto is out of Capricorn, right? So it's no longer in the 3rd house. You've gone through this transformation of the mind and communication and thoughts and siblings and all of that stuff. So now Mercury comes into this house. For Scorpio risings, this is about communication, local community, contracts, cars, siblings, family, and learning. So the themes here are about serious conversations, structured conversations, official correspondence, letters, documents, anything revolving around, you know, community leadership roles can come up. But also I think of like websites, blogs, tax documents, tax receipts, all of that stuff. And it's about organizing your thoughts in, you know, before speaking or writing. It's like sitting down and processing it, thinking about it, and then writing it all out before you have a conversation or before you give a presentation. It's also about engaging in educational pursuits or community projects with long-term perspective. Now, Mercury is connected to your 8th house of joint resources and other people's money. So this is why I say like tax documents and forms and receipts and things like that might be coming up, but also insurance, things revolving around, it could be about psychological conversation, psychological insight. It could be about learning more about self-help and healing. You could be focusing on also settlements. There can be conversations revolving around spousal support, investments, things connected to inheritance can be coming up here as well. And then Mercury is also connected to your 11th house of goals. So write your goals down, Scorpio and Scorpio rising. Write them down. Make the goals be based off of financial, emotional, psychological, or intimacy changes. I think that's the key. And maybe there can be a lot of like introspection that can kind of come through that because of its connection to your 8th house, where you're kind of realizing like, okay, what am I afraid of? I'm writing it out. I'm getting clarity on why I'm afraid of making these changes or why I'm afraid of making, you know, these investments. And it's playing off of Saturn in your 5th house. So having heart-to-heart conversations, you know, about your emotions, your feelings, things in regards to, you know, dating. Some of you guys might be meeting somebody locally or while you're traveling, or maybe, you know, you receive a heartfelt note or letter. Maybe you're writing one, and conversations that you may be having with your children because of the 5th house connection. The card that I got for you is the Magician. I think this is about writing things down and things manifesting, honestly. Like, I think one of the best things a single Scorpio or Scorpio rising can be doing right now is like writing a love letter to like a future partner and describing them and who you're hoping to meet, what they look like and their personality traits and all these things. Or just start like journaling and like writing that person before you meet them. And it's going to help you manifest bringing in a love, especially when you start seeing planets retrograde and eclipses that are going to be in your 5th house. That's my recommendation, you know, as above, so below. So the 3rd house is definitely about thinking about things and kind of writing them down or speaking them into reality before they kind of show up. I love that for you guys. Let me know how that works. I've got Sag and Sag rising. You guys are going to be experiencing Mercury's transit through the sign of Capricorn, and it'll be moving through your natal 2nd house. Now for you Saggies, this is all about values, money, possessions, business negotiations, you know, organizing your resources, things revolving around buying, selling, trading, communicating and expressing your self-worth, right? So in the 2nd house, it's about practical financial planning, discussions about investments or career moves that affect your income. I recommend, you know, be cautious when it comes to managing finances. This is a good time for budget planning or negotiating your salary. I would advise you not to have any like frivolous spending if you can keep from that happening. Mercury is really strong in the 2nd house for business, and that could be like accounting or organizing or coming up with a budget. And Mercury is connected to your 7th house of clients and relationships to other people, as well as your 10th house of career and reputation. So, you know, your salary is on your mind, how much money you're getting paid, how much money you want to be paid, what you're charging for services. there may be this shift where you're kind of realizing like, okay, I have a new goal. I want to make money in a new way, right? And I'm going to start implementing that. This is connected to Saturn. So it can be about wanting to work from home, starting some home business, things revolving around buying goods for your home, things connecting to designing your home, family budgeting, planning, things connected to mortgages, debts, and loans. I feel like this is about really taking stock in what you're going to find the most valuable and being able to kind of communicate and express that to your partners. Maybe talking to your bosses and people that you're working with about what you feel like you bring to the table. Maybe there can be, still evaluations and things that are going on at work, and you may potentially be up for getting some kind of increased bonus or salary this year. You might be getting feedback, on your performance reviews and stuff. I would also recommend, because you're going to see so many oppositions from the second house to the eighth house, to just be mindful that there can be a lot of back and forth with your money versus other people's money. And whether that's your money versus the bank or the loans or your partner or what have you, like, watch out for the conflicts over resources and what somebody is spending versus what you're spending or what you're owed. That can come up, especially when it comes down to like home expenses or money connected to the family, or even like roommates, or like what your partner's paying for versus what you're paying for. There can definitely be some kind of scrappiness going on. And you'll see this also in Mercury, quincunx Jupiter. There can be a lot of like, well, this is how I manage my finances, or this is what I spent. And there could be somebody who's like not seeing eye to eye with you when it comes to financial matters. Anyway, so that's basically the transit in a nutshell for you guys. Just watch your spending is my recommendation. The card that I got for you is the Page of Swords. So this could be seen as a Gemini, an Aquarius, or a Libra that comes in. It could be that there's a message coming, and Mercury is about messages. Maybe you have a bright idea, a new way of making money. Maybe you're thinking about doing something new for work. Maybe you're thinking about offering a new service. Maybe you're thinking about changing your prices. This is the beginning process of that, of you getting ready to kind of restructure all of these things that are connected to business. Or maybe you're starting to think about how you can be, putting more into your home, which could make it more valuable. So the Page of Swords represents this shift in your mindset when it comes to what you possess and how you can acquire more wealth. Let me know how it goes, Sag. We've got Capricorn and Capricorn rising. Obviously, Mercury is moving through your sign, so you're going to definitely notice this uptick in communication and thoughts and processing things and expressing yourself and having an opportunity to kind of share with other people. For you guys, Mercury is moving through the house that deals with your persona, your identity, yourself, your body. And the first house is, what we do first thing in the morning. It's just instinctual. So you're going to notice there's going to be an uptick in how you're communicating with people. Obviously, moving through the sign of Capricorn, there is going to be this much more serious demeanor, but also a disciplined approach to self-presentation and a focus on your personal achievements. I recommend using this time to define your personal goals and communicate with authority and clarity, and to work on your reputation in anything in regards to your action with a little bit more discipline. Now, here's what's cool. Mercury is connected to your 6th house, which is all about health, habits, routine. So you could be feeling like it's work, work, work. You could also be feeling like your mind is very much connected on how can I better my health? How can I improve my habits? How can I, have more free time? How can I make more of an opportunity to bring in more business? So it's great for Capricorns who are wanting to be more so productive and wanting to improve their habits or their health routine. I think it's wonderful in that sense. It's kind of comical that you're going to see it quincunx Jupiter. We're going to see it quincunx Jupiter and then oppose Mars. So that tells me that in order to kind of better something about your workflow or your relationships with your coworkers or your schedule, you have to communicate. You're going to have to speak up. It's bringing up your 3rd house. And the fact that Mercury is going to sextile Saturn is a really good connection. This can be a time where, like Scorpio rising, write all of your intentions down. This could be about you writing out content for a website. You are going to start writing a blog. Maybe you're going to start putting together a contract. Maybe you're going to start planning a trip. Maybe you're planning a move. And you just have to be strategic in how you're going to be kind of getting some of this stuff done. There's also a connection with Mercury in your 9th house, which deals with legal matters, passports, visas, anything in regards to higher education and travel. So if you have to apply for school, if you have to apply for a visa, if you have to talk to an attorney, if you have to sign a lease or a legal document, anything like that, these are great transits for you. You're probably going to want to do it right around the time Mercury is sextiling Venus and Saturn, and it's going to be very beneficial on whatever you're starting to put together or work on. I think will do very well. Because Venus is involved, I think it's going to be about, for some of you guys, like a new business in writing, or maybe that you're going to be traveling more for work, or that you're going to be creating a new blog, website, you know, some kind of like media where you're getting more attention for your work. And it's also implying that there's like a second job maybe for some Capricorns and Capricorn risings that are kind of coming up. And if you're looking to move, this might be the time where you start creating the time and the space to start thinking about where you would like to move to. The card that I got for you is the Six of Wands, which is a card of victory. So this is about being victorious in all that you do. So have you been wanting to like call and ask somebody out? Have you been wanting to send out a proposal? Have you been wanting to move? Like, what have you been wanting to do? Likely, if you can put your mind to it, it's possible that all of these things can kind of come true. I think you're going to see some amazing opportunities also to get away, to get a break. So if you have the opportunity to travel for a day or two, even if it's just like a staycation, I highly recommend taking it with some of these transits. We've got Aquarius and Aquarius rising. What's up, Aquarius? You'll be experiencing Mercury transiting through Capricorn. It'll be in your natal 12th house. So the 12th house is all about the subconscious. It's what's going on behind the scenes, what's happening in your sleep. It's also about maybe what's on your mind, but things you haven't spoken about yet, things that have not kind of come out yet. Solitude, endings, completions, that happens with Mercury in the 12th house as well. Now, the focus is on reflecting on your past actions, planning for solitude or retreat, or dealing with subconscious patterns in a structured way. I would use this time for introspection, but with a goal in mind, like overcoming your fears or planning personal growth. Write down insights for future reference. Pay attention to your dreams. They can be very colorful. You can see lots of symbolism and things in there that you really need to hear. You want to watch out for like stressing or overstressing about work stuff, or overstressing about money stuff. That can definitely come up with Mercury in the 12th house as it's connecting to Saturn, which is in your 2nd. So worrying about financial situations or things that you may not have control over. But this is a good time for getting work done behind the scenes, being in an office. You might feel like you're burning the candle at both ends, working a bit, or just needing a little bit more privacy. You know, obviously Capricorn season, when planets go through the 12th house, it's right before you come into this reset when planets are going into Aquarius. So a lot of this can feel like a review of what's happened in the last year, a review of your self-esteem, a review of your financial situation. And the good news is that Mercury does have a connection to the 5th house. So you might be reviewing your love life, your relationship with your kids. You might be wrapping up creative projects. You might be feeling like you're worn out because you're dealing with a kid, or, you know, a younger person, or you're feeling like you need time to kind of be away so you can work on some of your creative stuff, or even get a little bit of time away to spend with a romantic significant other. That can definitely be happening here as well. I think with Venus coming into conjunction with Saturn, this is about practicing gratitude for what you do have and not focusing on the lack or what you don't have, being appreciative of, okay, you know, the universe has provided me with this, and so thankful. And you can get into even being like, you know, you're manifesting. I'm so thankful for, you know, this windfall. I'm so thankful for all of this financial security, the job offers, the healthy self-esteem, all that stuff. You want to be coming at it from a place of gratitude in the 12th house and connection to your higher self, and knowing that you're going to be rewarded. And I say that because Venus and Saturn are coming together in your money house. Maybe you start having dreams about, you know, some kind of windfall, or you're having dreams about some kind of turn in your financial situation, or even a romantic relationship. You might get some insight intuitively in some of those places. The card that I got for you is Temperance, which is so cool because the 12th house is about solitude, rest. It's about healing, right? So maybe you're spending a little bit more money on healing. Maybe it's therapy, it's meditation, sound bowls, meditation. Maybe you guys are deciding that you're spending a little bit more money at a spa or at a retreat center or something where you feel like you can kind of heal and kind of get away. Temperance is about finding our center and rebalancing things and knowing when it's the right time to take action. So if you've been sitting on a creative project or a financial situation, just know that the time is going to come up to you and you're going to know when to make a move. And we've got Pisces and Pisces rising. You guys are going to be experiencing Mercury's transit through Capricorn. It's going through your natal 11th house of friends, network, social groups, but also your hopes and dreams. So when Mercury goes through this house in the sign of Capricorn, it's all about organizing group activities, leading or participating in initiatives with long-term goals, or reevaluating your friendships and anything in regards to business networking, being able to connect with like-minded people. Maybe, relationship opportunities will heighten through business kind of connections or meetings or going out with like work friends or work colleagues. That can definitely happen here as well. I recommend for Pisces rising to use your social network for your personal, advancement. Be selective about new friends that you're meeting and focus on those who have shared serious ambitions about their life, their career, or their relationships. Now, this is a social time for you. The sun is in the 11th house as well. That or you're super goal-orientated at the moment. Mercury is connected to committed relationships and partnerships, and it's also connected to your 4th house of home and family and the past. So some Pisces and Pisces risings will hear that they're invited to like reunions, get-togethers, or gatherings. It could be friends or family. You may be hearing back from old coworkers and people that you've worked with in the past, and there is a possibility that some of you guys will also be re-evaluating some of your professional or your home goals. Those things can definitely be coming up throughout this transit. You'll want to watch Mercury in conjunct or quincunx Jupiter. I do feel like this is like where somebody is asking you, where are you moving? Or what's going on with your relationship with your family? Or, are you single? They're going to be asking you these things because you're supposed to be reevaluating, well, what are my goals? Where am I going? What is the plan? Which can be good for you early on in the transit. But also it's ruled by Saturn, and Saturn and Venus are in your sign. So really this is about a commitment to yourself, knowing what your worth is, knowing that you're not going to accept less than what you deserve, committing maybe to a new beauty routine. Maybe it's about committing to a new goal. Maybe it's about saying, hey, I'm going to spend more time with my friends. I'm not as relationship focused. I want to be more focused on, people who are going to kind of help build me up and support me. And you'll really see, especially when the South Node goes into Virgo, what I'm talking about, that you're just going to see this shift in your mindset where you're like, it's about me, my goals, and who I'm connecting with. Less focus on relationships. And what else? That's pretty much it. I think that, for you, your goals when it comes to home or career are going to be very strong. So I would be really, really focused on this throughout this next month. Okay. All right. So the card that I got for Pisces and Pisces rising is the Ace of Wands. I love this for you guys because it's connecting to the energies in your 1st house, which is like the Ace of Wands. It's like what you're initiating, what you're, kind of striking on. New opportunities creatively for fun, passion, creativity, self-expression, feeling incentivized and excited. It can be a very exciting time where you're being asked to go and like interact with other people or join new groups, or maybe you're being invited to professional networks or associations where you're feeling like you're mixing and mingling with people who are really going to inspire you to go after your goals. All right, guys. Well, that's Mercury in Capricorn for this next month. Let me know what you're feeling with these energies. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I will be back on Thursday. We are going to be talking all about the Capricorn profile, so stay tuned for that. And I hope you guys enjoy this Mercury in Capricorn transit. Until next time, I'll see all of you very soon. Take care.